I would like to talk to you about a study conducted at the University of San Francisco in the year of 2010, which was funded by Mars Candy Bar or Mars Chocolate Factory, whatever company that is, the one who makes candy bars that don't taste so good, that one. They funded this study where they took a group of mostly elderly men, about 16 participants, if I remember correctly, who all had advanced coronary artery disease, right? So we're thinking about people with stents, we're thinking about people with high blood pressure, people who have very brittle arteries, and yeah, they took these guys and they gave them a High-Flavanol cocoa drink, 750 milligrams a day, divided by 2, so 375 milligrams twice a day. So what they found with this was pretty interesting. I'm going to tell you what it is right now once I look at these notes. So of course this was a double-blind study. They did all the right things. They had the placebo group, they had the low flavanol group, and they had the high flavanol group. And they found that the high flavanol group had a increased functionality of 47% of their vascular tissue. So imagine that you can squat 200 pounds on the squat rack, and by, they said 47%, let's just say 50%. If you increase that squat by 50%, so 100 pounds on top of your 200 pounds, now all of a sudden you're squatting 300 pounds. That's freaking amazing. Now, something similar happened to these guys' blood vessels. So, blood vessel function improved by 47%. That's astonishing, by drinking some freaking hot cocoa. Circulating angiogenic cells increased by more than 2-fold, which is more than doubling, which is insane. And what are these things, these circulating angiogenic cells? They're the cells that go around in the circulatory system that act as a repair crew. So they repair these brittle, fragile blood vessels and arteries, which is a great help, because when you have high blood pressure and brittle arteries, you're at a higher risk for stroke. And they're repairing that, so that's a good. When it comes to blood pressure, they found an average of a 4.7 point reduction in systolic blood pressure. That's the higher blood pressure number. And whoop-de-doo, 4.7 points. What's the big deal, right? Doesn't sound that big. But interesting thing here, a 5-point reduction in systolic blood pressure correlates with a 15% reduction in the risk of stroke. So you're almost there for that full 15. And think about it like this. This is the advanced coronary artery disease group. This is the AP, the advanced placement folks, who are pretty jacked up. What could this do for somebody who is on a less severe stage of this disease, or somebody who has relatively healthy blood vessels and coronary health? Let's say maybe a slightly elevated blood pressure and cholesterol and calcification, but not nearly as severe as this group here. Probably do a lot more. So if you've ever seen the effects of stroke on somebody, it's pretty devastating, it's life-changing. And nobody wants to see anybody go through that, especially somebody you care about. And you know, you might think about people who are not yet at that stage in your life, people who have atherosclerosis or high blood pressure, or coronary artery disease, anything in this realm. This is something that may help, and it's not medication. There's no side effects associated with it, so it's worth paying attention to. Okay, let's talk about these Flavanols. These Flavanols, we got to talk some chocolate terms here. All right, so cacao, cocoa, what's the difference? So this study used a highly refined processed version of cocoa, COCO or COCOA. Cacao, CACAO, is a little bit different, and let's break it down here. So cacao is the more minimally processed, usually raw version of this product. Now, it goes through a fermentation process, and it can lose up to 80% of flavanols when it goes this natural route of minimal processing. And generally speaking, compared to cocoa, cacao has more flavanols. Now, cocoa goes through another process, another type of processing, where it involves heat, roasting, or an alkalinization of the cocoa, which is what's called the Dutch process. I don't know much about that other than what I just told you, but it's used in a lot of baking chocolate. So cocoa generally has much less flavanols than cacao. Cocoa can destroy up to 90%, 95% of the flavanols in the product. So what Mars did here is they did some kind of magic voodoo, highly refined cocoa processing that preserved up to, I think it's like up to 25 more times. Is that right? Let me go look at my notes. Up to 24 more times than what cacao, the higher stuff, produces. So more than regular cocoa and up to 24 more times than cacao. So that's a lot. Okay, so you're probably thinking this magical cocoa is going to be super expensive and hard to find, like a unicorn in the rainforest or something like that. And if that's the case, should I go with the cacao version instead, even though there's a reduction in the flavanol content? And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. You can get the unicorn in the rainforest. It costs a little bit more, but you can also do the cacao. The cacao, I will say, you can do it, but you're gonna have to eat a lot more of that stuff, something like 12 to 20 tablespoons in a day to get that 750 milligrams, which is a lot. That's a lot of cacao powder. Another thing to consider when it comes to cocoa and cacao is the way that they're processed sometimes leaves heavy metals in them, and a substantial amount of that. But a few things to keep in mind when you're taking this cacao, or the super cocoa from Mars, is that if you take it with milk, the proteins in the milk will actually bind to the flavanols, so you're going to absorb less of it, maybe up to 20% reduction. Okay, when it comes to caffeine, one of my favorite drinks in the world, coffee. Tea is good too, but not nearly as good as coffee in my book. And I'm also on this rower. That's why I can do that. Okay, so when it comes to caffeine, nothing is going to bind to the flavanols like the protein in milk, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's not going to boost absorption either, but when you take the two together, it has somewhat of a synergetic effect with nitric oxide production. And that's the thing that makes the blood vessels more flexible, dilates them, opens them up, so that's a good thing. That combination will also produce more cognitive functions, so mental clarity, alertness, working memory, things like that. It's a good combination if you can handle it and you're not too sensitive to caffeine and theobromine, or theobromine, however you pronounce it. That's a similar chemical or compound in chocolate or cocoa, cacao, that's kind of similar to caffeine. Okay, where do you get this stuff? Where do you buy the super cocoa? I know of two companies that sell it, and I think the prices are pretty reasonable. One is Cocoa Via. Oh wait, before I get into this, let me just tell you, talk to your doctor first. This is not advice. You know how it goes. Okay, so one company is Cocoa Via, which is actually the Mars company selling it under this name, Cocoa Via. And they had a formulation for the study which gave these patients 750 milligrams a day divided by 2, so 375 milligrams twice a day. Okay, and it was just a simple mix. Now, they have this company called Cocoa Via that sells it in different formulations. You can get it in capsules, you can get it in powder, and I think you could get it in, are they called sachets? Well, I don't know, the little packets that you open and pour into a drink, almost like instant coffee. And they're even stronger. I think they're up to 500 milligrams, which is good, which is even better, right? More cocoa, more gooder. The next company is Flavanaturals, F-L-A-V-A Naturals, and they have a powder that is a concentration of, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it was 750 milligrams in one dose, maybe higher than that. But if it is 750 milligrams in one dose, that's the whole dose in one day. I mean, that's the whole day in one dose. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So go ahead and Google those companies and browse their products. Try them out, see if they work for you. Avoid the baby oil and P. Diddy parties. Buy the cocoa and live longer. Tally-ho! Endothelial function, good for the ED.